I've got a little bit of a rant today about canning. It aggravates me, and I'm going to be honest with you. If you come into my comment section and you make suggestions or tell people that I'm wrong or that I'm stupid, while you are giving them advice on how to kill themselves, I'm blocking you. I've blocked everybody that's done it, and I'm going to continue blocking people. Do not tell people how to do things unsafely without even so much as Googling some of the information. So as you know, I can meat. That's all I can. I don't can vegetables. I don't can fruits, none of that stuff. I know how to, but I don't do it. I also don't water bath. I have tomatoes. I water bath tomatoes all the time. And the reason I know that you can water bath tomatoes is it's an acidic food. Like fruit, some fruits, you can water bath. Like, I think, I'm not going to go through the list because I don't want to be wrong. But certainly tomatoes is an acidic food, so you can water bath it. Acidic foods kills botulism. Botulism is the most poisonous substance on the planet. At least that's what Google says. And I'm fine with believing that. So our government back, these dates are estimates, they're not exact. Back in the early 1900s, spent a lot of money trying to save the lives of our soldiers either in World War I or World War II because we kept sending them food that was killing them. Canned food with botulism. Many Americans were canning at home, and guess what they were dying of? Botulism. Botulism does not have to be scary as long as you're smart. But if you're not smart, you should be very scared. And if you're making comments telling you the government doesn't know what they're talking about, you can do it this way because our grandparents and great-grandparents did it this way, then you're gonna hurt someone, or you're gonna hurt someone else, and you should be scared. I've gotten several comments. Well, I mean, I've gotten lots of comments in the past, but several comments in the last few weeks talking about canning food. And one person said, I watch this YouTuber. You're wrong. I watch this YouTuber, and she's a biologist. She knows way more than you do. And she says you can water bath your canned goods. You need to go watch her. And did not provide any information as to who this YouTuber was that knows everything about canning and knows how not to kill you. My assumption is she was canning acidic foods. She even has charts and graphs on how to explain it all. Again, probably acidic foods. But I don't know that because I wasn't left a link. So I blocked her. Because you are risking people's lives. You cannot can vegetables or meat without a pressure canner. Here's why. Botulism, the most deadly substance on the planet, gets killed at 240 to 250 degrees. So if you are water bathing, you're only getting the botulism up to 212 degrees. That's a far cry to 240. So when you put your canner, your pressure canner, under pressure, you raise boiling temperature. And it's all mathematically figured out how much pressure you need versus, so I think I put 15 pounds of pressure on mine because I'm above 1,000 feet. I'm actually like 990 or something, but it's close enough that I go ahead and put it at the full 15 pounds. Now, somebody asks, where do you get a good book on how to can? Because I don't know how to listen to people on YouTube. Well, that's apparent, but okay. Yeah, the book that you want to buy, let me talk about this book. It's a valuable book. It's one of the best books I've ever read. It's called The Instruction Manual on How to Use a Canner. I've said it 1,000 times. Every time I make a canning video, I say, read the instruction manual. It has all the recipes that you can think of to can most everything. Meats and soups and vegetables and tomatoes. It tells you how to water bath. You can water bath in these, but we don't because we only can meat. It doesn't tell you how to can bacon. That's the only thing I've ever canned that I wasn't 1,000% sure I was doing correctly. I was pretty confident I was doing correctly, but wasn't 1,000% sure. But I followed the instructions of how to can pork with bacon, so I think I got it right. Anyway, we ate it. It was fine. But I made sure that the canner was at temperature long enough at 240, 250 degrees to kill the botulism. So when you're canning, it tells you a specific amount of time, how much time you're supposed to can in the canner under 15 pounds of pressure. And the reason you have to have so much time is, let's say you have a quart jar full of meat. Well, you want that temperature to get into the center of the jar to 240 degrees. You don't want the outside of the jar being 240 degrees and in the center of the jar 230 degrees, because you didn't kill the botulism. So botulism is everywhere. It's all over the planet. You can't avoid it. It's on your skin. It's everywhere. Botulism becomes deadly under a vacuum, becomes active or something like that. So when you vacuum seal your food, the botulism becomes active. Well, if there's no botulism living in your jar because you just got it 200 or 250 degrees, when you get to the vacuum, there's nothing in there to kill you. Now, the other thing I hear all the time is, well, this is how our grandparents did it. Okay, so again, hey Google, that's all you got to do. It's so simple. What's the average life expectancy of humans today? And it comes like something like 77.3 years. What's the average life expectancy of people in 1930? 58 to 60 years. Why would I want to do things like my grandparents did when they were dying roughly 20 years before we are? No thanks. I'm going to do it safely. Again, they went through, spent tons of money on trying to figure out how to can food properly so we weren't killing soldiers and killing people and killing children. You know, botulism is the same thing people put in their face. And we all make fun of them because their face is all squeezed back like that. It's a poison. The other one I got was, you need to use paraffin wax. Paraffin wax, yeah, paraffin wax. That's what our grandparents used. Okay, you can use paraffin wax. Again, you got to read instructions and you got to know what the heck you're talking about. But you can use paraffin wax on, I believe, like jellies and jams. Again, I haven't done much of that because we're eating carnivore. Now, 20 years ago, I was making jellies and jams, and I was canning stews and all kinds of different things. So I was really into doing a lot of different things. But now I just do it to preserve the food that I want to preserve. Why is this so hard to understand? People want to take risks with their lives. I don't get it. You know, I have an idea on how to cut these limbs. I'm going off on a sidebar just for a minute on how to cut these limbs out of this tree. And I feel like I'm going to do it very safely. I'm going to use a chainsaw. I told you I was going to buy a pole saw. But this chainsaw, I think I can make work. I'm going to make an extension pole. I'm going to put a string or something. I know exactly how I'm going to do it. To throttle up the chainsaw, I'm going to sit on top of the camper and I'm going to lay it down on a limb. And I'm just worried about making a video about this because so many people are going to tell me, oh, that's unsafe. Where's your safety glasses? Oh, you're terrible. You're teaching people how to kill themselves. I can hear it in the comment section now. I hear it all the time about safety glasses. You're going to die. You don't have safety glasses on. But then those same people will come in, oh no, you don't need to go out and get a canner. Just water bath it. It's okay. It's totally safe. Our grandparents did it. Yeah, and our grandparents also went out there without safety glasses and earplugs and all those things, and all of them were blind and deaf, just like me. So I don't understand the hypocrisy of we're going to only be safe some of the time. Other times, no big deal. Let's just kill ourselves with botulism. At least when I'm not wearing eyeglasses, I'm only going to lose an eye or two, not death. And I don't think it's that comfortable of a death either. I'm pretty sure it's very painful. So what do you got to do to make sure you're doing it safe? Well, we have two kinds of lids. We have the regular canning lids that you buy, the metal ones. These are pretty expensive. And so everybody's worried about SHTF. What are you going to do during SHTF? You got to preserve your food during SHTF. Well, you can't buy lids in SHTF. That's why you got to have paraffin wax. Oh, where are you going to get that at? SHTF. No, you're not going to buy these. They are going to be gone. That's why I've been telling everybody to use Tattler lids and start practicing with them. They do take practice. And I've been showing you some of the complications that I've been having with them. But here recently, I have figured them out. Tattler lids is a plastic lid, reusable. Somebody tells me all the time, this is another one, just reuse your metal caps. They're totally fine, there's nothing wrong with them. Every time I take a metal cap, a metal lid off the can, no matter if I use my fingers and break my fingernails, or if I use a can opener, no matter what I use, I bend it every time. So now you're going to bend the cap, you're going to vacuum seal it, you're going to pressure can it. So what happens? Well, eventually that cap is going to pop loose. The problem with having metal caps is they can reseal after they pop loose. So it pops loose, you don't know it, it's in storage, you didn't know it popped loose. It gets botulism in there because all that vacuum just sucked everything in. And then it gets hot outside. Let's say it was cold, now it's hot. It's going to reseal. So it becomes a vacuum again. Well, that botulism you just put back into the jar, it reseals because you used a used lid, and now you got botulism in there, and you eat it and you think, well, I did everything right. How did I get botulism? You didn't do everything right. You used a used lid. Tattler lid is a two-piece component, and I do believe if we come over here, we'll be able to. Now, Carolyn cleaned up the, I don't know what she did with them, but you can see on these here, there is a orange or a red ring right there. That's a rubber gasket. And so you put the rubber gasket right there, and then you set that down. And I've got canning videos. If you want to watch my canning videos, you go to my channel, go to my playlist, and in there it says canning. And all those videos should be canning or canning related. So instructions are in the book, or in the canner. You buy these canners at Walmart, these two canners. Well, this one came from a yard sale. You get the jars from Walmart. Now, sometimes they're hard to find. So what I suggest is go to yard sales and pick up your jars. Don't use mayonnaise jars or anything. Get actual canning jars. They say Ball or Car or something like that on them. They always have the measurements on the side of them. Get actual canning jars, because there's no reason to take a risk that you're going to lose a seal. They're expensive, but they're a one-time purchase expensive. The way I look at it is, if I'm buying canned chicken at the store, I have a set price. So let's just call it $1. And so this jar is $1. Well, then I can the food in the jar the one time. Well, that one time just paid for the jar, not the food. But then the second time, the jar was free, because the canned food at the store was $1. This jar is $1. So the next time, it's basically like I'm of course I'm paying for the meat, but to me it's like a reduction in cost, because I'm not having to spend $1 anymore to fill this jar. Now, somebody will ask, when are you going to can again? When are you going to start canning? I don't typically can in the summertime. There's more flies, more bees, it's hotter. I like to can in the colder temperatures. So during the fall, chicken prices usually go up this time of the year anyways, because of all the barbecues that are getting ready to happen. I just went to the store today. They didn't go up, but I'm sure they will. So fall time is the best time for us, and that's when we start butchering chickens. And like you can see, we have a ton of canned food, so there's no reason for us to can more. If anybody is telling you, biologist or scientist or anybody's telling you to violate the rules of the canner, don't do it. I saw one person in Facebook group say that she canned meat in a water bath on top of her wood stove. That is the most dangerous thing I can imagine that you just did, because the wood stove has varying temperatures. How do you know you had it above boiling even for that long? Wood stove starts to die down. Was it boiling, or did it stop boiling? I think that's terribly dangerous. You want consistent heat. If you ever have to cook over an open flame or can over an open flame, you need to sit there and babysit the thing constantly. So an SHTF situation, because you can't live off grid unless you're worried about SHTF, you're going to sit next to that canner. You're going to constantly feed the canner. On the other hand, you don't want to get it too hot where it's just boiling off and all your steam is flying out of there, because the water you have in the canner, you got to put water in it, will boil off, and by the time you get it all done, your jars are broken because you've boiled off all your water. there's a real science to canning. It's fun. It's absolutely the greatest hobby in the world, in my opinion. But you got to do it correctly. There's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse to do it any way other than the way the scientists and the governments and all that. I know we're not supposed to trust the governments. I get it. We are taking the safest route this way. Why do it any other way? We have not had serious botulism in this country in years. I mean, there might be a case or two or three. And the thing is that when you Google it, the reason we get botulism is because somebody didn't can correctly. I don't understand why anybody would want to take a short. Just water bath, that's fine. That's what the scientists on YouTube said. So if you'll click the up next box to take you to a video that I made yesterday. So I hope I can inspire you to just do it correctly. So you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.